Partying 9 to 5. What a waste of my time. Welcome to HowDoWeHuman. This is the podcast where we talk about all the weird and uncomfortable micro moments in life. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Binning.
I'm your other host, Evan Cox.
Thank you, comrade. You know what we're talking about today? It's work events / work parties. Those extracurricular activities where you get together with your coworkers and you try to not talk about work, but that's the only thing that you have in common. So you just kind of struggle to come up with anything.
Yeah.
But something we are going to come up with right now is asking Evan. Evan, how you doing?
Great. I want to talk about my eyes.
Okay.
I, from birth, have had a cataract in my left eye. I'm legally blind in my left eye. And considering that, I should go to the optometrist constantly. Just nonstop eye appointments. Instead, like I did when I lived with my mom. And now I live by myself, so I go once every 5 or 10 years. Like a responsible adult. Recently, I'd been maybe driving around and noticing I feel like because my right eye has always been strong. My vision in my right eye is better than a lot of people's visions who don't have cataracts.
So your right eye is the Boston of your eyes, yes? Boston strong.
Boston strong. It's the Boston of the eyes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Cool.
I had noticed I can normally see read a sign far off, and I was starting to notice it's a little bit harder to do that. Shit.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to need driving glasses or whatever soon? Time to go check it out. I've got eye insurance through my employer. Why don't I do this all the time? So I go to the optometrist in that Target. That's kitty corner from that school that's no longer a school that we used to do sillies at.
Right. You mentioned that you were going to go here because we got to know if you met viral sensation Lewis.
I did meet Lewis. That was embarrassing because it was that specific Target seemed to have been behind your Target, which was fully stocked with Halloween stuff. This one seems to be half set up, and so no one was in the area except one employee who's stocking stuff on the shelves right next to him. And I walked back and forth past that fucking guy until he said that special phrase. And I'm sure I'm not the only person that's done that, and I'm sure it's annoying.
Yeah.
But I did get to hear him say, "I'm no jack-o'-lantern. My name's Lewis." And I liked it.
Great.
It was a good time. So this is a weird, I don't even know what to call it, just life update that kind of blew my mind. I'm talking to the optometrist. She checks out my eyes. I had to come back a different time to get my eyes dilated because I wasn't thinking about that, and had to drive home. And I'm a safe little boy. So collectively, we do it, the exam. I'm reading off the chart. I'm kicking ass. She tells me, there is a prescription there, but it's so slight that it's definitely not worth getting glasses. Technically, you have 20/20 vision in your right eye. Fuck yeah, that's my pride and joy. Then, as we're wrapping up, she says, "Do you get itchy, dry eyes?" And I was like, "Yeah, all the fucking time. It's awful." Because on the check-in form, it was like, "Do you take any medications?" And one of the ones they give you is allergy medicine. It's like, "Well, I do take allergy medicine," so I wrote down Claritin D, and she was like, "Because you wrote down you take Claritin. How often do you take Claritin?" She's like, "Most days." I'm like, "Yeah, most days." She's like, "Okay, because Claritin D can dry out your eyes and give you itchy eyes. I'm going to give you, do you take eye drops?" I'm like, "Yeah, I've got allergy eye drops." She's like, "Okay, but those aren't the same thing. I'm going to give you a couple samples of lubricating eye drops." I've been using these lubricating eye drops. Amazing.
Your eyes have never been more moist.
My eyes are moist as fuck. And I'm realizing, like, it brought me right back to going to the doctor, getting those lab tests, and being told you don't have allergies, which I was
Yeah.
like, horse shit. And now I'm realizing, like, okay, what are things that make your
So
nose
you were
stuffy?
taking allergy medicine, and the allergy medicine was making you think you had
Think I had
allergies?
allergies. I'm lactose intolerant, and alcohol will make anyone's stuffy nose. So I'm like, okay, sure. Anytime I have like a cheeseburger or like a beer with dinner. So yeah, I get a little stuffed up. I'm taking Claritin D. That's making my eyes red and itchy. I'm creating this little allergy circle.
Yeah.
And so I'm now having to go like, maybe they must be right. I don't think I have allergies. It's been so long.
Big Claritin really had you in the
Holy
pocket.
fuck. It's blown my mind. That's such a wild, life-changing thing. And I was kind of like, oh, that'll save me money because Claritin D is expensive. But turns out eye drops are also expensive. But
Oh,
that was
it's
the
almost like
thing.
everything is.
Everything is expensive. And I assumed taking the allergy eye drops would help that. But it's like, no, those aren't lubricating. They just attack the allergens or whatever the fuck. I don't know. Mind blowing. Sorry, that was a long story, but it's a big life change.
Yeah, absolutely.
But my eyes are great. There's more. Maybe I'll tell more eye stories in a future episode. But for now, I cede the floor.
Mm,
Chris,
yes.
how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I have a bit
Thank
of a
God.
sore throat,
Oh,
so if you hear any clicking and clacking noises, it's the caramel throat lozenge that I have in my mouth clacking against my teeth. But
so we shouldn't have talked for an hour and a half before this.
that's the thing is like I thought that my voice was going to be worse when I woke up with
Mm-mm.
this sore throat, but my voice seems like, and
So
maybe
I didn't notice.
yeah, it seems like it's fine. It just there's a little bit of like irritation back there. But that's not what
Well,
I'm
that's
here to
fine.
talk about. Um what I am here to talk about is for, a little bit of a wedding project. We've been needing to get some like alcohol mini bottles, okay? And so um one of the things on the list uh was whiskey. And so I went to Bevmo because they seemed to be one of the only stores that like sold mini bottles. Um, so I went over there, I got a bunch of the stuff, and then there was um, this one whiskey that like because I don't know enough about alcohol, I get
Mm.
very um deceived perhaps. We'll see because I haven't tried this yet. But
Yeah.
um, I assume that the more expensive one, or the one in flashier packaging, must
Yeah.
be the better one.
It's
And
a
there was a
possibility.
whiskey that is in a bottle designed like a gold bar.
Okay.
And I was like, that's even if that tastes like shit, That's pretty fun. So I was like, I gotta get that one. So I go to check out. The guy's like, "Do you have a phone number with us?" I was like, "No." Um, and he was like, "You want to sign up for, Bevmo rewards? You could save a little money on your Nazi gold bar." And I was like, "What?"
Oh no.
Yeah. And so I do some research on this company and I can't find any connection to it. It's just that this cashier happens to associate gold bars with the Nazi regime. And
Okay.
I guess thinks that's a fun way to interact with customers.
Customers? Yeah. All right.
But after I had become reassured through the internet that there's no that I couldn't find any connection, I still bought it and I haven't tried it, so who knows. But but yeah, that was an alarming interaction.
That's intense.
To have.
I've had not that, but like that interaction with a Bevmo. I've only gone to Bevmo twice, I think, twice in my entire life. And one was semi-recently. And I had that conversation, not the Nazi part, but I've had the conversation with the employee. Like, do you have a number with us? No. Like, do you want a number with us? Like, I'm good. Well, I mean, you can use mine. I'm gonna let you. Like, he seemed mad at me. Like, I'll let you use mine because it's gonna be a difference of like $70, but you have to make an account as soon as possible. I'm like, okay, fuck.
Yeah,
he seemed mad.
I mean, okay, so I did alter this story for brevity a little bit. I went to 2 different Bevmos.
Ooh.
The first Bevmo, I got everything except for that gold bar whiskey because they were out of it or something. And the first cashier that I talked to at that first Bevmo asked for the phone number. I was like, I don't have one. And he was basically just like, it's all right, I got you. And just put in some number.
Nice.
And it was fine. But so that other Bevmo I went to, I only was purchasing that gold bar whiskey. And he made sure to let me know. You and I were talking in the pre-show that we should just record and put on a Patreon after we make a Patreon. Let us know if anybody would be interested in listening to anything like that. But we were talking about how it's dangerous to go online because everybody says negative things about whatever it is you search. And so part of my research was a Reddit thread that came up that was like, this whiskey sucks. You're paying for the packaging. But we'll see if they are correct or not. I'm sure I am paying for packaging, but doesn't mean it sucks.
Doesn't mean it sucks. It might be good.
It might be good.
It might be fine.
Yeah, it was a post on Reddit that was like, my wife just bought me this gold bar whiskey or whatever. And then every comment was like, what did you do? Why does she hate you? Just so everybody knows, any sort of topic that you look for, people will hate it.
If that's what you're looking for out of life, go on the internet.
Yeah. Evan, you ever been to a work event or a work party?
I got to admit, I have gone to a few work events and or work parties.
Me too. You like them? Do you love it? To fill you with joy?
No, nobody loves it. I think I've mentioned in the past. I don't remember what. But, getting fancy. We did our getting fancy
Yeah.
episode, and I mentioned that at I don't even know what to call it anymore. My current job, but when it was a different company and everyone still worked here instead of just me alone.
Yeah.
When there was an office full of people around the holidays, they would do like holiday Christmas dinner or whatever, and someone on the team is a big old foodie and
Hmm.
knows all the hot spots in LA, and the company was willing to pay for it. So we would eat fancy ass food at fancy ass restaurants. And so in that sense, I always liked getting a chance to eat fancy LA restaurant food for free.
Sure.
But was I ever comfortable there? No, not remotely. I don't fit it. The story I told at that one was with the wait staff standing behind us the entire time we ate. Like the second you finish your drink, it's like, oh, I've used my napkin too much. Oh, here's a new napkin, sir. I don't need people watching me eat.
Yeah.
I don't like it. But so otherwise, in that sense, it was something to look forward to, even though I hated it. It's something to look forward to. But as a general, it is not. I don't know. I think we're both just like, I don't know if loner is the right word, but like we compartmentalize things in our lives, and work is work. Work's the thing I go to. And I've made work friends in the past. Some of my closest friends are the friends I made at Walgreens and at Emerald Downs.
Yeah. I think
But
it's
let me
just like a
go hang
work
out with
life
them.
balance. You don't
Yeah.
like balance them by putting them together. You balance them by
Yeah.
separating them, and there can be, crossover with work friends. I like most of the coworkers that I work with, both at my current job and at my previous job. I like
Yeah.
most of the people that I work with, but I don't necessarily want to see all of them on my own time.
Yeah.
um or B, like, there's sometimes the people who are most excited about work parties and work events are the people I want to see the least. So
Absolutely.
it's kind of, it gets kind of risky when you're trying to figure out, or when I'm trying to figure out if I want to RSVP. Yes, I
Yeah.
really got to conduct some research and be like, "Are you going? Are you going? I'll go if you go. I'll go if you
Yeah.
go."
It is because that first year when I was working here, I knew I knew well one person because she and I had worked together before. And I'd gotten hired late October. So I guess I'm coming up on an anniversary. I have no idea how many years that's been. I should look that up. But I got hired late October. So it was like less than 2 months into me being at this company. It's the holiday party, and the entire office is there. And I know the one person, and then I end up not sitting next to that person. And it's like, I know other people in my shoes would network or make friends.
Yeah.
But
In these shoes that Evan bought for a couple bucks at Goodwill?
these shoes, I was going to sit there, overthink what I'm going to order, listen to other people have conversations, and just feel uncomfortable the whole time. Because if I want to make a work friend, which I've made work friends at this job, I like all the people I work with. Don't get me wrong. If anyone happens to listen to this, I like you all. But I've hung out one on one with a person because I'm like, I want to be friends. We'll do a
Hmm.
thing. going to a place, like being at the office all day, seeing these like 20, 30 people, and then going somewhere else and seeing those exact same 20 or 30 people. This is work. This is still work.
Yeah.
I can't separate the two. I can be enjoying what we're doing more, but I'm not relaxed. I'm not
Sure.
feeling like this isn't work, because it feels more like everyone would be judging everyone. Like, oh, let's see what these people are like when they have a couple of glasses of wine, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Nothing good can come from that. We're
Yeah.
not making friends. We're building reasons to hate each other.
Yeah. I when I worked at IKEA, each department would have like its own like fun night or something like that, where like just your department goes out and like team bonds basically, but
Yeah.
doing some event. And so the first one that we went to, or that I went to, because it was usually in the summer and I got hired like in the fall, like basically right after they had done their last one.
Yeah.
But it felt like, it was a department of like 5 of us, I think, plus our manager for 6. And the other 4 people were like pretty tight with each other. And then I was like the other one.
That sucks.
And the longer I worked there, the more like, the less it was like that dynamic. But that first year, it was definitely like I was the other one. And so, they were like, "Oh, come on, let's get a photo." And it was like that awkward, like, is it like a photo of the 4 of you friends, or is it the photo of the 5 of us department coworkers?
I hate that.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
It was a little awkward. We went to the Magic Castle, which was it was fun.
Damn it.
Um,
How do I get to the Magic Castle? No one
it's
will let
like
me in that
invite
fucking
only,
place. I know.
which is like our manager knew somebody that worked there or something, so we got in. But
Everybody we got to do an episode on magic. I have a lot to talk about. Everyone I fucking know in Los Angeles has been invited to the Magic Castle. And you know what they all say? They say, I hate magic. It was stupid. I love magic. Let me in this fucking place. I would love to go to a castle and watch a bunch of fucking nerds do some sleight of hand. That sounds like
so for
a
anybody
great time.
Anybody who doesn't know what the Magic Castle is, it's this building in Los Angeles, a bunch of different rooms, and they have magicians perform in each of these rooms, doing a bunch of illusions and sleight of hand and all of that stuff.
Yeah, cool stuff.
And I would say, I mean, most of the magicians that we saw were pretty good. There was one that was in like the biggest like theater room where like the seats that we had, you could kind of see some of the behind the scenes stuff going on, which was a little less fun. Maybe we'll save this story for the magic episode. But I was called up to assist the magician.
Oh boy!
Yeah, well, that'll be a little tease for the magic
I'm
episode.
So excited.
But another time we went mini golfing at that Sherman Oaks Castle Park or whatever that's called, which is a good time. But as far as holiday parties go, which you mentioned, in the 9 years that I've worked in Los Angeles, 2 jobs over 9 years. Of course, during the pandemic, some of those holiday parties were canceled. But you would think, in theory, that there's like at minimum, I don't know, 7 Christmas parties I could have gone to.
Yeah.
Or holiday parties. Excuse me.
Seriously.
I went to one. in
Okay.
all of those years, and it
By
was at
choice?
IKEA.
Or you weren't invited to the others?
I was invited to them every time.
Yeah.
I will say at my current job, since 2020, there has not been a Christmas party or holiday party. But
Yeah.
the first
I don't
year
know
or
that happens
two,
anymore.
yeah, the first year or two, it was like, oh, of course, because of COVID. But it's also kind of seemed like maybe um there was, the episode of The Office. There's an
Maybe.
episode where the employees are trying to convince Michael Scott, like, some of them want him to purchase new chairs for the office, and
Yeah.
some of them want him to purchase a new, like, copy machine. And so he's confused with what to do, who to make happy. So he calls his boss, and his boss is basically like, you can do whatever, or you can, like, keep the surplus. And he's like, the what? And so it seems like in a lot of people that I work with's minds, there may have been a lot of pocketing of surplus money that could have been used to have some more employee appreciation. But the
Amazing.
people that were doing that have since left, and we are under new management in my workplace. So maybe that'll change this holiday season. But
Not,
I
yeah.
went to one IKEA holiday party, and um, it was like, it was fine. It was like a bunch of people that you see at work, but some of them um are showing how they dress when there's no uniform standard.
Yeah.
Some of them are like, I'm here to get as hammered as can be. Um, I don't really remember anything particularly interesting happening at the holiday party. Um, they did have a dance floor, which was uh interesting. I don't think I ever was on the dance floor because that's not my
Yeah.
jam, but there were one or two employees who, like, were like, I'm on the dance floor and I'm not leaving until I get kicked out of this place. Uh, they were like, no matter what, there was always the one or two people there the whole time. Everybody else is
Yeah.
eating their food, drinking their drinks. Those two people are on that dance floor. Doesn't matter.
Damn. That's
Um,
amazing.
we talked in the luck episode about, like, at some of those parties they raffle stuff off,
Mm-hmm.
and I never won.
Never
So
win anything.
tragic. But those, as far as, like, holiday parties and stuff goes, that's my only experience has been that one year, which was probably in like 2016 or 17.
Damn. I on the sticking with we'll wrap up holidays because it's not Christmas time right now.
Not yet.
Not yet. We're getting there, baby. It's spooky time
Somebody
right
tell
now.
the retail stores.
They're all stocked up for Valentine's Day next year. But in these, like, moderately fancy restaurants, which, living in LA, like, I'm sure these foodie people, these West Hollywood foodie types, if they heard me calling these places fancy, would be like, you poor person. But they're
Yeah.
fucking fancy. They're places I would never go on my own. Everyone always orders a drink. And this
Yeah.
is a big part of, like, yeah, we're all getting to know each other. Let's all have a drink.
Mm-hmm.
Wee! And there's there's it's funny. I'm just, like, putting this together. There's a great Japanese movie called Tampopo about a ramen shop. And there's a whole segment in it, which apparently this is a very severe part of, or at least used to be, of Japanese culture, where at like an office, you go out to a party or something, you order what the boss orders. Boss orders first, and you go along with them. And the whole thing is there's the young guy that doesn't and orders his own shit. But like, I'm just realizing, like, that kind of fucking happens here too. Like, I swear, every holiday party, the boss will pick some cocktail and say it like, "Oh, that sounds amazing." Everyone else orders this cocktail, and it's always a whiskey drink. She drinks a whiskey drink,
A whiskey drink, a lager drink, yeah.
Drinks a cider drink, etc. And everyone orders the same thing. Whiskey, I like it, but it's not my favorite. I'm a gin guy. I love me some gin.
He loves a gin drink.
I stand strong by my love of gin as a beverage that I will be moderately okay to be around while I'm drinking.
And that's your right eye that stands strong?
Yes, my right eye stands for gin. That's what I've been using for eye drops.
Your right eye is Boston strong for gin, right?
Damn straight. Every time, like when I think of gin drinks, I think of a gin and tonic, for instance, like a whatever they call them, and just a general cocktail glass. There's a word for it I'm not thinking of, but a similar type of cocktail. Glass, a general cocktail glass. Mine always comes last. It'll always just be there. Any restaurant menu has one gin drink because it's less popular. These whiskey drinks come to everyone, like at the same time. They're in these cool glasses. They look cool as shit. Half the time there's smoke coming off of them. And everyone's like, "Oh, wow. Oh my gosh." And then mine comes. It's in like a big old fishbowl glass.
Nice.
It's pink. It's flowery. It's insane looking. And it always comes by itself, and everyone at the table's like, "Who ordered that?" Whoa! And then it comes to me, and I'm like, "I did. It's good." And I hate this.
Yeah.
The one thing that I'm like, let me just have a little bit of gin, and you'll all tolerate me. And I'll be likely to be a little bit more talkative, as opposed to just shrinking into myself and being nothing. But instead, that thing turns everyone against me and gives me a reason to drink my drink and shut the fuck up. I hate it, but I do want to cross. Well, let's start here. Cross that with my Emerald Downs times. Emerald Downs, horse racing track. There's the Long Acres Mile. It's our big race at the end of the year. I say our because I feel like I still work there. And so after the Long Acres Mile, we did it. We made it happen. All the departments get together. I hear this doesn't happen anymore, which is heartbreaking. But all the departments get together. There's alcohol. It's just a party. Sometimes there was like a live band there and shit. And it was always a good time. And there was one time in particular, I know this had happened before, but I only participated once, where you get around the horse racing track on golf carts. It's one of those type of places. So the TV department, we were a bunch of fucking schmucks. We'd get golf carts, drive around the track, have water balloon fights. One person's driving, the other person's launching water balloons.
Sure, Mario Kart Double Dash style.
Why can't this be every work bonding event? That would work so much better. I think. You let me throw water balloons with people, drive around in a golf cart. That's so much better.
It's that to me is one of those things that sounds fun, but you just know one person is going to ruin it for everyone.
It's always going to be someone that takes everything way too seriously.
Yeah.
And we talked about doing an episode about this, so I'm not even going to go into details. But karaoke in particular is one of those things where
Yeah.
you find like, oh shit, one person I worked with considers this like a side gig, their karaoke
Yeah.
life, and
Yes.
takes this so seriously that it's awkward to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know the point of what all I'm saying, but I don't know. I don't want to say stop taking me to fancy restaurants. You can wine me and dine me,
Yeah.
but let me launch something at a coworker's head sometime. Blow some steam off.
Yeah, the reason that I pitched this episode for this week is last week, right
Yes.
after we recorded gas stations.
Boom.
Um
You were all fueled up.
I was all fueled up because there was speaking of like there being new managers at my workplace, um they uh can't give us more money to show that they appreciate us, but
Never.
have decided to do the next best thing, which is just try to like give us some sort of like appreciation thing. So anybody who um is a trainer for new employees,
Yeah.
they took all of us, or they invited all of us out to go bowling. So we were all going to go bowling in the afternoon. I was scheduled to work, and they said, "Hey, you're going to that thing, so you don't have to come into work." Let me tell you, that's the way to do it.
That is. I don't know that I've ever experienced that. That kind of blew
Yeah,
my mind when you told me that. I was like,
yeah,
damn, just a whole day off of work.
yeah. And I believe the paycheck for that pay period doesn't come out for another couple days, but I was told that I also got paid to go to that bowling thing.
You would
So
like to think.
yeah,
It'd be a real bummer of a paycheck.
absolutely. So I'm driving to the bowling alley. I make sure I'm like, first of all, I'm like, what am I gonna wear? Um, I've already, checked with a couple of my friends who also train new employees, and I'm like, you're going, right? Because if you go, I go. There was one guy who I was like, we both have to open our emails at the same time, and I need to watch you press send for your RSVP. But so I'm driving over there. I've got my fun cactus shirt on. I've got my
Hey.
khaki colored shorts, and I've got my phone, I've got my wallet, I've got my keys, and then I always, just in case, because you never know when you need one, I have my G2 pen in my
Love a
pocket as
G2.
well. Of course.
The best pen.
And so I'm driving over there. I know I'm going to get there a little bit early because that's how I am.
Yeah.
So I'm heading over there. And as I'm driving on the 134 freeway, I'm like, oh man, what is that on my shorts? And I try to swat it away. But I realize it's not something that can be swatted away.
Oh no.
While sitting in the driver's seat, my hip bone has pressed against the click top of the G2 pen, so that the actual like ink part has come out and is just creating a big ink stain basically at the end of where my pocket is.
Fuck.
And so I remember, a couple months ago you were talking about going to some like work
Yes,
event,
that's
and
right.
you had an issue with your pants, and so I got
A
flashbacks
hole in my
to that.
crotch. I knew this sounded familiar.
There's a CVS near the bowling alley. So I go to the CVS, I get one of those Tide to Go stain remover sticks. I go back into the car, I apply I try to lift the pants up so it's my fingers are underneath it, and I apply um, the Tide stick, and it's kind of swirling it around and making it a little. It's not as dark, but
Hey,
it is bigger.
yeah.
Um, and I'm like, oh shit, and so I remove um my hand from underneath the shorts there, and only to find that while I had done that, I had folded part of the shorts up. So now there's two big ink stains on two separate parts of the shorts instead of on one. And I'm like, I'm stressing out. I don't know if I should go buy new shorts or just hope that nobody notices. I don't know.
Damn.
I ultimately decide, you know what? It is what it is. Somebody asks, I'll tell them what happened.
That's all you can do.
Luckily,
To
like
survive.
bowling alleys are not like known for incredible lighting. True. They're darker areas.
Incredible lighting or incredible fashion.
Yeah, that too. So I wait in the parking lot until I see somebody that I like, and then I go and enter with them. So my friend and I are walking into the place, and the managers are already there. They're giving us free drink, like tickets, basically. Go up
Okay.
to the bartender, you get free drinks. Just use that ticket. Um, and then they put out a spread of free snacks and appetizers for us. I was like, this is great. We all have a great time. My coworkers are like, come on, Chris, you got to drink. And as we've established, even just in this one episode, I don't
Yeah.
drink very often. And so I really like don't know what to order when
Yeah.
we get into these situations. The bartender, or the guy that was coming around giving drinks to everybody. The first round I passed, I was like, no, I'm good. They also had like pitchers of water, Sprite, Coke, and Diet Coke. So I was like, oh, I'm just gonna have some water right now.
It's pretty good shit.
Um, I hear him talk to some of the other coworkers about like what they have available, and it's like, beer, wine, or we can do like mixed drinks with two ingredients like a rum and coke or a tequila soda. And I was like, well, of the things that I've heard, rum and coke is probably what I like the best.
No.
And so I go over to him and I'm like, hey, can I get a rum and coke? And he was like, they told me not to serve you. And I was like, what? And he was like, oh, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'll go get that for you. This, by the way,
Damn.
when I went to that CVS to get the Tide stick, right next door to that was the other Bevmo. So this is the same day. These three things have happened in a row. I've stained my shorts twice with pen ink. I've been asked if I want to save money on a Nazi gold bar. And I've been told that I have been asked to not be served any alcohol.
Yeah.
These are three things that have just happened all in a row, back to back to back.
Brutal.
Absolutely. I get the rum and coke. It's pretty good. A heavy rum pour, which was not what I was expecting. Really altered my bowling game.
Happens.
But the bathroom in this bowling alley is all the way at the other end. We're in like lanes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Okay.
And the bathrooms are all the way by lanes like 40 through 45 or whatever. But that's also, they were having people come in through the entrance and exit through a different door, which was next to the bathrooms. And I was like, great. As I'm leaving, I'll be able to just go to the restroom on the way out.
Yeah.
We bowl for, 2 hours or whatever. And then everybody, is like, oh, thanks so much, blah, blah, blah. And then we're all starting to trickle out. And speaking of trickling out, I'm like, hey, I've had a lot of this rum and coke. I've made
Starting to
sure,
trickle
because
out.
the way that I always drink alcohol is like one sip of alcohol, half a glass of water. One sip of
That's a
alcohol, half a glass of water.
good way to
So
do
I'm very well hydrated.
it.
And so we're leaving, we're walking right up by those restrooms. And I go to head into them and they say, closed. I was like, oh no.
This is terrible news.
Yeah. So I'm like, well, maybe I can make it back home. Right.
Yeah.
But it's rush hour. So it's going to double the time that I'm in traffic already.
Oh, I hate this.
I start the journey. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to make it home. There's a Target nearby. I'll go to the Target.
Always trustworthy.
I start going to the Target. These surface streets are jammed up too. I don't think I'm going to make it to the Target.
Fuck.
Going back to last episode, I see a gas station with a little convenience store. And I'm like, this is what's going to have to happen.
Yeah.
And so I go in. I'm like, you have a restroom? And he says something to me that I don't fully understand. I get bits and pieces of it,
Okay.
but it's a longer thing than it was something like, wah, 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 no, closed, wah, 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 building around the corner. And I was like, I didn't see a building around the corner. This is kind of like on its own separate lot.
Yeah.
But I leave, I go look around. The closest building is like closed for business with like the barred gate over the door. And at this point, it's like, it's now or never. And it's like, do I think that any neighbors in this area are going to be cool with public urination? Probably not.
Nah.
So, and hey, maybe this is TMI, but I go back to that convenience store. I get the biggest bottle of Gatorade I can find. I buy it. I go to my car. I dump out the Gatorade, and that's what I got to use.
Been there. I'm a Gatorade bottle boy.
So at the end of
you pounded the Gatorade.
So at the end of the day, right, my most recent work event / party stained my shorts twice with pen ink. Got asked if I wanted to save money on a Nazi gold bar.
Yes.
Was teased by the drink server at the bowling alley. And had to pee into a Gatorade bottle in my car.
These things
And at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? That was a pretty fun day. I'm glad that I went to that work thing. I was like, you know what? I hope there's more of them because I had fun. Even though all of those terrible, terrible things happened.
Just swell.
Still came out on top.
How'd you
Not
bowl?
in bowling, though. I finished middle of the pack.
Hey, that's a good place to
It is.
finish. You beat everyone. You got a target on your back when you get back to the office.
Absolutely.
Step.
Yeah, you were talking about people who take it way too seriously. One of the managers, I guess, is in a bowling league.
Yeah.
And so he didn't even win, but he did very well. And it was very clear that like this was his idea.
Let me show everyone what I got.
But something that I don't know if you've had this, you talked about like when the boss orders something.
Mm-hmm.
That's what everybody orders.
Right.
So the hierarchy essentially in my workplace is like all of the workers. Then there's a level of supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's 3 assistant managers. And then there's 1 manager.
Okay.
two of the assistant managers were there and the overall manager. None of the supervisors were there, and then there were a smattering of maybe 20 to 30 like trainers were there.
Yeah.
But the manager didn't bowl, just kind of like had his beer or whatever, and just kind of stood in the back, like the wait staff at the restaurant that you were at, stood
Just
behind
watched?
everybody and just watched.
Oh no.
Is
I
that
like to
weird?
watch.
Is that
Yep.
okay? I thought it was, but I
That's
was like,
weird.
maybe it's like to remove yourself from any sort of like, oh, the manager bowled gutter balls, or the manager got too drunk, or whatever. Like maybe it's just to remove any like risk from your situation, but it was very strange.
I feel like, because I think that's if you're going and bowling or mini golf or whatever the fuck with a group, like it makes sense for the manager to not want to, because you don't want to be the everyone's manager, but then put yourself in like a competition setting.
Sure,
People might
yeah.
feel weird about beating you, but don't go. You just don't go. You don't just stand there and observe. Is everyone having enough fun? Seems like there needs to be more fun spread around here.
I hadn't thought about people feeling weird about beating him in bowling. But to me, it's like, I feel like people would have enjoyed that, you know? But I hadn't thought about the opposite side of like, is he going to be mad at me when we get back? Like, I hadn't thought about that element of it.
It's just dynamics you don't need in a workplace.
Yeah.
But all of these are dynamics you don't need in a workplace.
That's true.
That's amazing.
Have you ever been to a work party where things have gotten like wildly out of control, or somebody, like even just one person has gotten way too out of control?
Yes and no. You when you said that, something immediately came to mind. So yes,
Okay.
But no, in the like, it's not a good story in any capacity. But that definitely was I think it was an employee's, a coworker's going away party. But was like,
another thing we haven't talked about,
managers, and so it wasn't just like them and the people they like everyone was invited, so I counted as a work event.
For sure.
That just like, it was karaoke. Some people got pretty inebriated.
Yeah.
And that's all there is to the story. No extra fun details, but yeah, that's as bad as I've seen. I don't think unless I'm forgetting something, I don't remember being at a work event where someone like needed to apologize at work the next day or anything like that.
I've not been to one either. I know that in the past at my current company, before I started working there, like when they had the holiday party, it's since I've worked there, it's been at like a restaurant / banquet hall where like most work parties are, I feel like. But I guess before that, there were times where they held it in like a hotel, conference room, banquet, ballroom, whatever.
Yeah.
And I guess when they would hold it there, things would get out of control because people would just like stay at the hotel or whatever. There'd be some drunken partying, some drunken brawling, some drunken hookups. But that had ceased to be the case by the time I was working there.
I mean, I get in that sense, I can't say that I'm not partially responsible for the fact that Emerald Downs doesn't have Long Acre Mile parties anymore. I'll just say there was it was an open bar setting, and the TV department was the only department to take that very seriously.
Yeah.
There's an old photo. I just went there with my girlfriend the last time we were in Washington. Saw my old buddy who we both called ourselves EMD Handheld. We were the two handheld cameramen there. And he shared with me an old picture from that time, me clean shaven, looking like a little boy. And we collectively as a department drank enough beer to make it was 2 years in a row. Once we made a horse out of the empty beer bottles, and once we spelled EMD TV out of empty beer bottles, and then like immediately after that they stopped doing parties. So we had our fun. There was no like they made fools of themselves or did something terrible. We just took severe advantage of the open bar.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
No.
Yeah, now I remember there was also a work event where they did have a live band and I took over the dance floor. But everyone enjoyed that, so what can you say? Pump some alcohol in me and give me a cover band playing Sly and the Family Stone. I'm in. I have one last general topic I want to talk about. And then we got to get the fuck out of here. That's my Boston Strong eye. We gotta get the fuck out of here. That's not a good Boston accent. I want to talk about, and maybe this is just a thing I've experienced, work events that are just thinly veiled work. Or work events that it's like, it just doesn't, it's not even an attempt at like, oh, we should all get to know each other. It's just like, we're all going to leave the office and do something no one wants to do. So basically, my last job, it was, I worked for a radio show. That radio show was under the banner of this radio company, which is a smaller branch of a massive radio company. And so like in terms of the big names, there's like 4 massive radio companies across the United States, and I worked for that one. Guess what? Now I work for another one. I've worked for 3 of them because radio, you never leave, apparently. I was told that when I started, and it's proven to be true. Anyways, so it's like, unlike other jobs I've had where it's like, oh, there's my boss. Like, I currently have a boss, but then there's also the president of the company who doesn't live anywhere near me and I've never met and will never meet. So this was a situation at that where the president of the company, it was like after we declared bankruptcy, the president of the company was like, I'm going on tour. That's right. I'm going to come around to every major market and meet the people. But instead of just being like a person and coming to the office, not like there were multiple offices in Los Angeles. It was like, that's the one. They could have just gone there and met people. No. They rented out a theater. I don't remember which. I want it, maybe the El Rey. But they rented out like a concert venue. We all went to this theater, sat in the seats. They entered in the back way so no one could meet them.
Sounds about right.
They were late, like an actual concert. And they came on and gave a speech from a podium with a microphone. Was the venue full? Fuck no. We were in office with maybe 100 people. So it was a venue for some thousands of people with 100 people smattered about in the groups they like. And like, what the fuck are we doing? It was the most off-putting thing I've ever been like. I've never seen a president of a company like be less of the people. Than being like, no, take me in the back way, give me a microphone and let me talk to my people. Insanity.
That's very funny. There's There are definitely higher up corporate people that have come to my workplace.
Yeah.
But not even to like really interact with the workers, but just to like have meetings or whatever. But they're always escorted as far
Yeah.
away from workers as possible.
It's so like I get the idea because there's a lot of presidents of companies probably are told like your employees don't like you very much.
Yeah,
So there's risk involved in that sense.
for sure.
But
Yeah.
it's just like the thought. I mean, I guess it's different if they're just coming for like a meeting, but the general thought that their presence would be a morale boost is madness, especially when you're unwilling to actually meet anybody.
Yeah, it's like I understand why they're doing it, but it makes it worse.
Makes it
like
so
the
much
next
worse.
time they come around.
Yeah. And I'll say the exact opposite to shout out the smaller radio group I used to work for, Hubbard Radio. I remember Jenny Hubbard coming down, and she came to the office and met all of us, and she was the sweetest fucking person in the world. And that was like, I don't want to say a morale boost, but it was definitely a like, oh, I do feel like a part of something. It's like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. Just go to the fucking office and talk to people.
Exactly.
Be a goddamn human being.
I don't know if you've worked with people like this, and again, I know that we gotta eventually wrap this episode up, but you saying that kind of reminded me of something.
Oh boy, here we go.
My current workplace, like sometimes there are, big, like parties for like company anniversaries. Sometimes there are like worker anniversary, like everybody who's
Sure.
worked for the company and has their 20-year anniversary this year. Hey, you're invited to come out to a party at headquarters or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that stuff. I haven't worked there long enough to be really invited to most of those, but sometimes the like CEO or other like very high corporate leadership are at these various parties, right?
Right.
And some people are like, I gotta get a photo of me and the CEO. And like that to me, like I can't fathom why people do that. It's barely like it barely makes sense to me when it's like somebody you work in the office with every day but is like your boss,
yeah.
to like get a photo with them, because you at least are like around them and maybe could have like a good working relationship with.
Sure.
But the idea of treating the company CEO as a celebrity
Yeah.
is baffling to me.
And it seems to be like that's just that's what they want. That's like treat me like a celebrity, please. But I like thinking back if I'd ever taken a photo with one of the CEOs or presidents of any of the companies I've worked for at this point in time, I would look at that photo and not know. I could not tell you that person's name, and I might not remember who they are. Like, it's so bizarre. I've worked. I was just out of curiosity because you were saying that, and I was like, oh yeah, I did mention that. Let me see. How long have I been working here? I have worked here so much less than I thought I had, and I swear it's a COVID thing. I think I recently mentioned in like a work meeting, like, yeah, I've been here like about 6 years, 7 years. I've worked here for 4 years. 4 years. Well, it'll be 5 years coming up.
Okay, so it's not terrible.
So that was even closer. I was wrong. That's right. The interview process for this job was insane. I had to interview with 5 different people. So I started interviewing in October. I got hired in December. So I started December 3rd and then went to the holiday party and wasn't sitting next to the person I knew. It sucked, and was at a fancy restaurant where I didn't know what I was doing. Just too many forks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I ordered the wrong thing. And there's prawns. I've eaten shrimp before. And I've had prawns before, but not like fancy prawns. And they leave the
Do you
tails
think
on those suckers. And I'm like, what do I'll be honest. I took a bite of this prawn. And it still had the shell on the outside of it. I didn't know that. Why the fuck did you leave the shell on it?
Right.
Take the shell off the fucking prawn.
I've never eaten prawns before, so I
Very tasty.
can't contribute. But do you think the boss was like, here I am eating prawns with the pawns?
I would like to think he was thinking, here I am eating prawns with my boys. Yeah, prawns with the pawns.
All my best friends.
All of my very best friends. I mean, I don't know. I think that's it. I think we've hit the end of it. I think work events are always uncomfortable, and I think it's weirder for me to see how many other coworkers, co-employees clearly don't feel that way and are like thriving in these moments.
Yeah.
It blows my mind that that's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely surprising to me as well. I do think that it kind of comes back to one of the theses, I guess, of this podcast, where like you and I are just very introverted, like socially awkward
Couple
people
of weirdos
in some of these situations. And I think that this is, we've had a lot of episodes where it's just like us bullshitting different stories, but this one definitely like gets back to the core of like, this is a situation where we are in the wrong and feel
absolutely.
awkward. I do like, based on this last bowling thing that I went to last week, I do feel like I'm getting closer to like enjoying that type of environment, but it is definitely the thing that I mentioned it in the intro, but there's just like not really anything to say more than this, but like you're not at work, so you don't want to talk about work.
Yeah.
You don't want to talk shop outside the office, but then it's like being kind of forced to find something to talk about other than the one thing that you, or the main thing you talk to these other people about every single day.
Yeah.
You have to find a completely new removed thing to discuss.
And at the end of the day, unless you're like a specialized I don't know, maybe like if you work like what I would love to do, you work in a music studio. Everyone there's got a lot of shit in common. There's probably some things they disagree on, but they all love music and engineering and shit like that. And there's some core. Any general job like you or I have, people are just going to end up there. And you're not all going to have shit in common. And the problem is, the only thing that everyone in the world has in common is, gosh, isn't life bleak?
Yeah.
Isn't it weird that we're all going to die someday? And that's shit you can't say at a work event.
Thankfully, like, at least bowling or mini golf, you can talk about the bowling or the mini golf.
Yeah.
But at, like, a holiday party, it's like,
Santa's sure cool.
What religion are you? I mean...
Speaking of that, I don't know why I'm pulling it up because I'm not going to be able to show you, but the community table up the road that the neighbors put out.
Yeah.
People just put stuff out there you can keep. There's a DVD. The DVD is Understanding World Religions. It's obviously like a movie for kids. There's a little boy on it. It says, Understanding World Religions. What is Christianity? Getting to the bottom of these world religions. love it. I think we've done it.
I think so.
I think we said what we learned. We're a couple of weirdos. Alcohol helps a little bit. If you're a
Unless
boss,
you're bowling.
Yeah, true.
Then you're going to go to the back right corner of the lane every single time you roll.
If you find yourself a manager at a company, you manage a team, and you get the opportunity to do something nice for the team, don't go. Let them go and have fun or not have fun without you there.
Let your people go.
Let them go. Let them go. Let them bowl. But I don't know. I mean, there's just that, like you're saying, there's that hierarchy, and if the hierarchy is set up like, and I'm not calling out specific people. I don't work for the same company you do. I'm not, whatever. My hands are clean. But I'm like, if the hierarchy is there's the employees, they have supervisors, and then there's the manager. There's a high likelihood. I mean, sometimes I've bumped up against plenty of supervisors, but you're much more likely to be like friendly with a supervisor. Friends with, you 100%. See them all the time. If they're cool, you're cool, and you guys get along. I've been friends with a lot of people who were my supervisor.
Yes.
It is highly unlikely to be friends with the tippy top head of your thing. And quite frankly, being friends with those people probably weakens your position. So just don't go.
Yeah, if you're the president of a company, do go to the office and be a man or woman of the people, you know?
This podcast strongly believes in the two genders.
Yep, worker and manager. The two genders.
Yeah, I don't know. It's probably not a hard and fast rule, but here's what it is. If you're a manager, you're planning a work event, and there are supervisors below you, get the opinions of the supervisors. They'll tell you the truth. Ruth.
Yes. Yep.
Oh, you got a podcast here. I didn't know what I was going to say. I just started hot. We got a podcast here called How Do We Human. You've maybe heard of it. You've definitely heard it.
You've definitely heard it.
You've heard it. I don't know if you've heard of it, but you've now heard it.
If you started, this episode and you skipped the first 30 to 45 seconds.
Yeah.
Maybe you've never heard of it, but you have heard it.
Chris just said he walked in and his fiance was watching Great British Bake Off. Suddenly, he had heard Great British Bake Off.
That's right.
This might happen in a podcast sense. Maybe your significant other is listening, and God bless them for doing that. You can listen too. We're everywhere. You can find us everywhere. We're on Podbean. Number one, Daddy Podbean. We're on
number
Spotify.
One with a bullet.
We're on Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, whatever the fuck it's called now. All these. Listen, let me be frank with you. All of these venues blow, but we're on all of them. Whatever one you've found that you are comfortable with, listen to us there. And if you can, leave us ratings, leave us reviews, say nice things about us. It helps us get found, and we need more listeners. A way to find all that, if you went to Spotify, looked up How Do We Human, you didn't find us for whatever reason, you can find those links in our bios on our socials. We're on social media. We're on old Instagram at How Do We Human.
You can't handle the handle.
This is great. You can find us on Facebook at How Do We Human.
You're going to need a bigger
handle.
You can find us where else? On YouTube. We do video episodes now. You can find us on YouTube at How Do We Human.
My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates. You never know what
Handle.
you're gonna get.
And you can send us an email, ask us questions, give us ideas, talk to us. That is howdowehumanpod@gmail.com.
I am not throwing away my
Handle.
I am not throwing away my
Handle.
Hey, yo, I'm just like my country. I'm young, scrappy, and hungry, and I'm not throwing away my
Handle.
Great. Chris.
With my sore throat, I thought I'd
That's a good, yeah, true.
refrain from doing the big musical number there at the end. So maybe that's what I'll do. I'll try and create more of those in a way to keep things fresh.
We love to
Because every time it's my turn to do that, I always panic of what new thing to try, and so I never
Same.
try anything new.
It's hard. You know how excited I was when I realized we had never done here's my handle, here's my spout. That was a thrilling realization for me.
Yeah.
Chris,
Yes.
what do you got going on?
Well, speaking of the Great British Bake Off, it inspired me to come up with a new game show, cooking show. And maybe it exists already because it feels like a pretty obvious idea, but I did zero research to find out if it exists.
Great.
This is a show where, you have all of your contestants. I don't know how many they start with on the Great British Bake Off, if it's like 12 or something like
600.
that. Okay. So you start with 600 contestants, but one of them, they're, instead of baking or cooking all in the same room, they're all in separate kitchens from each other. So they can't see what anybody's doing. And one contestant is getting like either store-bought or like professionally made dishes. That's what they're presenting as their own, while everybody else is trying to cook whatever. And if that one, the cheater essentially, if they win, then they get more money than everybody else. Than like if the actual chefs had won.
Great.
Because the other chefs or bakers are trying to expose who the fake one is as well.
Yes.
And so if you're the person who is getting the pre-made food, it's up to you to kind of make it look less store-bought to try and avoid detection.
I like it.
Thank
I think
you.
that's a great idea. It's a little bit.
It feels like the kind of thing that should or could already exist, but I have not looked at it at all.
It almost does, but not. I think that's an interesting take on it. It's a little bit combo Secret Chef with was it
Secret Chef
the Mole?
meets F-Boy Island.
F-Boy Island,
meets
yeah.
The Mole.
Was it the Mole? Whatever, with the one contestant like fucking everyone's shit up.
That sounds
I
right.
don't remember, but hey, I watched all of Secret Chef. It was bad. This sounds better.
Evan,
Yes.
do you have anything you'd like to plug?
General idea, and kind of along the same lines of going off of reality shows here. So, a lot of attention has been put on the NFL recently.
Yes.
Little Taylor Swift is I don't want to put a label on it. Dating Mr. Travis Kelce. And that has got a lot of new eyes on the NFL. On the other side of it, this has been like the shittiest, lowest scoring season of the NFL that I can remember ever seeing in my life.
Okay.
It has been so underwhelming. Every game ends like 14-15.
Oh my God.
It's been a bummer. So let's jazz it up a little bit for the Swifties out there. Here's what I'm thinking. Every single team, it's their own reality show. And this is like personality-wise. People can make alliances. People can make strategies based on what the team needs and doesn't need. But every week, every team has to eliminate a player.
I like that.
By the end of the season, it's like we're down 17 players who can make it to the playoffs with what they've got left.
Okay,
sounds
so
pretty fun.
every single team eliminates a player.
Yes, every week.
Oh, interesting. I like that idea. I'm trying to decide if it's. I think yours is better. I was gonna say maybe like if you win the game that you're playing, you get to keep one, but I don't think that's as fun.
Yeah, because then
I think it's more fun when everybody has to eliminate a player,
and then it just comes down to just the superstars. Having to play every position.
Yeah. That's exciting stuff.
I think so. We got a couple of hot reality shows here.
Yeah,
give us money.
Absolutely. Yeah, give us money.
Yeah. Mine's technically 32 reality shows, so I might need a little more money, but give us money.
Give us money.
It's a good note to end on.
Yep, time to clock out.
Give us money.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.